Hey guys, here is the second Battle for Zendikar draft video here on the Needs Own Magic channel. I'm actually recording it immediately after the first one, so should be interesting to do a second draft. I'd kind of like to avoid the black-red archetype because I just drafted it, as you know if you saw last week's video. So let's see what we open here. Ugin's Insight is quite good in most decks, I think. But there's a Windrider Patrol, and I think that's probably better most of the time. I mean, Ugin's Insight is one of those cards that has a major impact on your later turns, but doesn't impact the board immediately. And Windrider Patrol is a 5-mana 4/3 flyer that lets you scry every time it hits your opponent, so it's a pretty great deal. Spawning Bed, isn't a bad pick because it lets me stay open, but Ugin's Insight and Windrider Patrol are, I think, the best two cards in this pack. Spawning Bed and Skitterskin are also fine too, but we're going to take the Patrol. I am a fan of Windrider Patrol. I believe I said it was one of the best blue uncommons, if not the best, in my set review. See if we can get that Ugin's Insight back. That'd be pretty nice. It might happen, but probably not. It's kind of too exciting of a card to make it that far. Okay, Blightherder, though. Now that's interesting. It's a 5-mana 4/5, like it's, in the worst case scenario that it has. In the best case scenario, if you have some ingest, which we could have in blue, it puts 3/1/1s into play. So that's a pretty good deal. A 5-mana 4/5 at worst. And there's nothing else in this pack that particularly excites me. There's no removal. Benthic Infiltrator is another card that we'd like to see make it back to us, potentially. But I'd rather take the Blightherder now. I mean, it doesn't necessarily make me go into that kind of deck. It's just a big, efficient creature other times. But this pack's pretty weak. Benthic Infiltrator is probably the second best card in this deck after the Blightherder. I know some people are high in Zolaport Cutthroat, but he's a card that I would only take later because you really have to be in the Eldrazi Scion deck for it to work out really well. In others, in most situations, it's not going to work out that well. You have to have Eldrazi Scions to really abuse him. I've got 2 5-drops so far. Yeah, I like this card. Haven't gotten the chance to play with it yet either, so with either of these actually. Okay, Cryptic Cruiser. It's interesting, but I think Complete Disregard's probably what we want. Mist Intruder's tempting. It can help me stay blue, but removal's important, and it's removal that works with our Blightherder. Other good cards here are Plated Crusher, and I think Ruin Processor can be better than it looks in most decks. Really, it's a good 7-drop. It'd be nice to get a Mist Intruder late. There've been good cards in every pack that we've wanted to come back to us, but I think we got to take Complete Disregard here, the nice removal spell with some upside if we get some other processors in addition to our Blightherder. First 3 picks I'm pretty happy with, though. They're all very good cards, especially, Complete Disregard and Windrider Merfolk thingy is pretty good. That's interesting. Hadron Archive is tempting, but there's also a Sheer Drop here, which is a very good card. I mean, it may lead us away from where we could go, but there's also a Kozilek's Channeler, and I'm kind of tempted to just take that. Sheer Drop's good, but Kozilek's Channeler keeps us from committing. Blue and black seem pretty open. Hagra Sharpshooter's fine, and Oracle of Dust is also fine, so it doesn't seem like it's awful, but White's gonna, this pack here, it just has 3 good white cards, and no matter what we pass, people are gonna move into those colors. I could also take Nettle Drone, I guess, and move into black-red, which can also exile stuff. And there's also Hadron Archive, which has good upside, but I think I just take another Eldrazi and Kozilek's Channeler. So 3 5-drops. That's where we're starting. Okay, Royal Spout is very good. Silent Skimmer is also very good, and I think that's probably what I take. There's also an Incubator Drone, though, and our deck could turn into a kind of ramping deck. This is for more of an aggressive deck, I think. So maybe I do take Incubator Drone. We definitely have things in place to ramp. that we, between the Kozilek's Channeler and the Incubator Drone, and Blight Herder makes tokens too sometimes. Evolving Wilds is tempting just because it could let us do 3 colors, but I think I'm just going to take the Incubator Drone over the Skimmer here. It's kind of a hard pick, but I think I'd rather have the drone. A Tide Drifter is pretty good, especially if we end up in a control build, and all of our creatures, except for the Wind Rider, are colorless so far. There's also a Ruin Processor, who's good to ramp into, as I mentioned, but there's also a Demon's Grasp, which is an okay removal spell, but not an incredible one. So it's either Tide Drifter or Demon's Grasp, and I think I'd probably take the Grasp, even though, as I said, it's not an incredible removal spell. I think that's where I want to go here. Get the removal that we need. I mean, Tide Drifter, as I said, is good, but you have to be in a control deck for it to be really good. So far, it kind of looks like we are in more of a controlling deck, but so if I see another one of those, I would probably take it, just because it's such a good blocker and it'll pump the toughness in all of our creatures, or many of our creatures anyway. Some Ingest would be good, since we've already got one guy who likes to eat things, and we're liable to get more in this color pair because blue-black has has the most creatures with Ingest, basically. Okay, Eldrazi Devastator, not a bad thing at all to ramp into. Geyserfield Stalker, also not a bad card at all. Snapping Gnarlid is probably the best card, if this were the first pack left in this pack. The Waving Elemental is okay, but I don't really want to be taking it that badly. I think Eldrazi Devastator is just better, especially if we can ramp into it, which it looks like our deck will be able to. I could take the Bloodbond Vampire and sort of look for life gain things, but I think I'm just going to take the big Eldrazi here. Okay, Carrier Thrall is very good, fits into our deck in a great way, so it's definitely what we take there. 2 mana, 2/1, who can make a Eldrazi Scion when it dies, seems pretty good. So we've got a number of cards that ramp. We only have one thing that exiles so far. I mean, I would still play, the good news is I would still play Blight Herder even if we didn't get any Ingest from here on out, just because it's a good body. But a Spawning Bed, also very good for our deck, and we're definitely going to take it. So yeah, we can really be on the lookout for ramp, I would say, for big creatures. We already have one, but I think our deck, if it continues the way it is, this deck could probably support 2 big Eldrazi to ramp into. Okay, Nirkana Assassin is fine, and it's probably what we take here. It might make our deck if we're desperate for like a 3-drop, but it's not that great. Skyline Cascade's probably the best thing here, especially if we're in a control deck or in an aggressive deck. Either way, it's good, but I don't really like Voracious Null. You probably saw I drafted it in the first draft and ended up having to play it, and it was pretty disappointing. Wow, White's open. But I haven't seen enough to really make me... I mean, I guess I could take blue completely out of my deck. And maybe that's worth considering if White's this open. Yeah, I'm going to take the Sheer Drop. And we'll take a Waving Elemental. If we keep seeing really good White stuff, I could just abandon Wind Rider and Incubator Drone. Because blue hasn't been that open either. Black has, but... So I think, Sheer Drop could make it into our deck, especially if we open a crazy white card in this next pack. Like a Maria Shepherd or something like that. Then I would just abandon these 2 blue cards. It'd make it a little harder to ramp, but I think we'd still leave one Eldrazi Devastator in here. Although I'd rather have a Ruin Processor, probably, if I had to choose. Oh, my prizes from the draft I just did. That will all be going to the person who won the giveaway. Okay, Retreat to Hagra is okay. I guess that's what I'll take here. It could enable, if we pick up some life gain guys, it would be pretty good. And giving Eldrazi tokens Death Touch isn't too bad either. So yeah, this draft's been a little weird. I mean, we only got 2 blue cards, lots of good black. So, okay, I'll take a Fertile Thicket away from somebody. Well, I guess I would have gotten it no matter what, but of these cards, Nirkana Assassin's the only one that I don't really want to be playing, especially if I'm not in the life gain deck. I mean, I do have Retreat to Hagra, I guess, which could enable that a little bit, but I'd like to stay in blue just because I think Wind Rider is so good, and blue is going to have more ways to help us ramp if that's what we want to be doing. So it's not too bad. Some lower curve stuff would probably be good, even if it, removal would be great. Tightening coils, things like that would be fine with me. And we do have the sheer drop. I mean, we could just go 3 colors and run a sheer drop, potentially, if we can pick up some fixing. Okay, Radiant Flames is probably a card. How much is it worth right now? I'm saying this, BFZ, Battle for Zendikar, just came out like today when I'm recording this, but Radiant Flames seems like it's going to be a tier 1 card. It's worth about 2 tickets, which is worth thinking about. There's nothing in white in this pack that makes me want to go white. But there's a white-blue card, but we probably won't be white-blue. Radiant Flames is good. There's nothing black really in this pack either overly exciting. I think I just take the Radiant Flames. I mean, Mist Intruder could be good in our deck, but Radiant Flames being worth 2 tickets and potentially splashable as a big board clearer seems pretty good. So I think I'll just take that. Mist Intruder, could be an enabler. But we only have 1 creature right now who is a processor. It's likely we pick up at least a couple more, but maybe not. So if I can pick up some Evolving Wilds, I'll be pretty happy to try to splash to do 3 colors and run Radiant Flames and be like a high curve deck. Same with Sheer Drop. Like if I could potentially run that. I could just go straight into Converge, I guess. The Converge deck has a lot of ramp itself, so. Okay. Here's an Evolving Wilds, as I said, which is nice for our deck. There's also a Silent Skimmer. Which is probably what I take here. Yeah, I think it is. Other good cards, like Void Attendant's good, but I don't want to be in green right now, I don't think. Rush of Ice is also pretty good, and maybe I should give it a little more consideration. But it's probably better in a deck where you're more aggressive, and right now I don't know that that's where we are. And Silent Skimmer, also is more of an aggressive card, but it can also block well, and yeah, so I think I'm going to take it, although no, I'm not. I mean, Evolving Wilds can enable us to play Radiant Flames, and Radiant Flames is huge, so I think I do it. I think I take the Evolving Wilds there, yeah. Couple more would be really nice, and then we would definitely run Radiant Flames in like 1 mountain, and have that as like our board sweeper. Definitely looking more like a control deck than anything. Catacomb Sifter's still here. And there's a Dominator drone and another Spawning Bed and another Incubator drone. I think I want the Incubator drone more than the Spawning Bed. If I'm going to try to run Radiant Flames, like lands that produce colorless aren't quite as good as they would have been otherwise. I mean, Radiant Flames is good even if you can only do it for 2, but being able to do it for 3, having that possibility is nice. So I think I take another Incubator drone over a Dominator drone for now. Although the Dominator drone does have Ingest, doesn't it? And it's a 3-drop, which we could use. Yeah, I'll take the drone. Dominator drone, they're both drones. Turn Against is very good. McKindy Slide Runner, Stone Fury, and Volcanic Upheaval. Well, not Volcanic Upheaval so much, but Turn Against, McKindy Slide Runner, and Stone Fury all being here is kind of nuts. And this pack doesn't really have anything for us. But there's some very good red cards in it. So red's the one that's looking more open, but there's also a Smite the Monstrous. And I think that's probably what I'm going to take here. If I end up deciding to splash white, then I could run both white removal spells. So, yeah, I think that's what I do. Okay, Ondu Champion. Okay, Grip of Desolation is very good, and it's what we're going to take here. Black has to be relatively open if it's still around, because I think it's a first pickable card in some packs. Been multiple Royal Spouts, so need to be on the lookout for that card when I'm actually playing. Okay, Stasis Snare. What is going on? Stasis Snare is incredibly good, and I'm definitely going to take it. I mean, there's a Swarm Surge here, which can be okay in our deck, but not incredible. I think we definitely have to take a Stasis Snare. It's just a very good card. And maybe we don't run Radiant Flames anymore. Maybe we try to run white, and maybe we do just abandon blue altogether now. Because those 3 white cards are very good. And it's just hard not to play them. And we only have picked up 2 blue cards so far that are like, upper tier blue cards in terms of the quality. This is far better. And this black-white is best with life gain, so if we see some life gain stuff, we might want to consider it. Okay, there's an Ondu Greathorn and a Felidar Cub. The Greathorn's good, but I could use a 2-drop, I think, and especially one that can blow up retreats and things like that. So we do have one card that's good in the life gain deck, so if we see some other life gain stuff, then Retreat to Hogro will definitely make our deck, and the Assassin might make our deck too. So, sorry, Blue, you gave me high hopes at the beginning with the Wind Rider, but it's a little less exciting now. And we can still run Radiant Flames, incidentally. So, I think I probably do. Another Eldrazi Devastator isn't really what I want. Clutch of Currents is very good, but it is actually a good blue card that we're seeing, but I think our white cards are so much better now than the blue cards we have between Stasis Snare and Sheer Drop and Smite the Monstrous that I think we just stay black and take a Geyserfield Stalker here, who's certainly nothing incredibly exciting, but he's fine. He's like the Prickle Boar of this format. He's black Prickle Boar, basically. So I'm okay with that. Eldrazi Devastator still seems possible in our deck between our Carrier Thrall, our Spawning Bed, and our Kozilek's Channeler. So I think I'd probably leave that in. Another Geyserfield Stalker. I mean, I just don't think I'm going to play it. I think I'm just going to take Royal Spout and think about splashing blue for it. Instead of red for the Radiant Flames. And if we splash blue, we also have Incubator Drone, so. But, I feel like it's probably better to run 1 or 2 cards that are gold, unless we pick up a bunch more Evolving Wilds. If you're base green, you can really, go 4 or 5 colors pretty easily, but we're pretty clearly base black, and black seems open enough to remain that way. Okay, Rush of Ice, Wavewing Elemental, Blighted Step. It's fine. It's like the least exciting of the Blighted lands. I could also take a 2-drop though, huh? I think I'd rather have a 2-drop. If it were any other Blighted land, if it were the black one, I'd probably take it, but I think Core Castigator is important. Radiant Flames. Be pretty exciting to play. And our top curve, most of our top curve anyway, doesn't die to it. Wow, there's another Incubator Drone. And also a Catacomb Sifter, which may make me want to move into green, because that thing is really good. It's nice to be in a format where fixing is a little more available, at least if you do green. So I'm definitely going to take the Catacomb Sifter. Whether it stays in our deck or we can play it is up for speculation, I think. Yeah, I guess I'll take Altar's Reap. It's not that great, although Royal Mage's Trick can be good. So I think I'll just take that in the event that I end up back in blue. Evolving Wilds also works well with our Geyserfield Stalker, incidentally. So would not mind picking up one more to really make me feel comfortable about splashing. Yeah, look at this. This 2 Royal Spouts and 2 other good white cards is kind of crazy. I guess I'd rather take Gideon's Reproach, though, since we're white and we can play it. We're definitely going to play it if it's in our deck. So I'm glad I moved into white after seeing that really late Stasis Snare. Now I'm a McKinney Patrol, which isn't overly exciting, but could make our deck depending on what ends up happening the rest of the way. I don't think I have any. Oh, here at Core Castigator's an ally, but I think that's it. I think Arcana Assassin is too, but probably not going to play it if we don't have some instant speed life gain to make it into a surprise Death Toucher. But yeah, I mean, we have 3 cards here that make me want to splash a color, but we obviously can only splash one of them. Okay, Shrine of the Forsaken Gods. Okay, Brood Monitor. Wow, that is a nice card. But our white is, we're not going to be able to make double green work in this deck. There's another Silent Skimmer. There's also an Angel of Renewal, who I think is pretty good. And might be my pick here over a Demon's Grasp. I think that is probably what I take. Gaining the incidental, the life on a decent body is pretty good. And yeah, I think I'll take it. Our deck, is kind of a slower control deck where we're going to blow up a lot of things early and then play Angel of Renewal. Maybe Eldrazi Devastator or Blightherder and win the game with them, or Geyserfield Stalker even. The Devastator may end up not making it into our deck. I'd much rather have the Ruin Processor, who's a 7 and 8 mana. There's a huge difference. When we were blue, it seemed to... Serpentine Spike. I just drafted that, if you saw last week's draft video, so pretty nice. There's also an Ulamog's Nullifier, which could be nice, but I don't think it's what we want. Another Gideon's Reproach, seems fine. Encircling Fissure is okay. I don't love it a whole lot. I think I just take another Gideon's Reproach here. Serpentine Spike is very good, but we're not red. I mean, we may splash red, but we're not going to do much more than that. I think another removal spell is a good place to be in this kind of build that we're putting together. Man, Halimar Tidecaller. There's a Drawn as Emissary, though, so that's probably what we're going to play. Woodland Wanderer is very good, but I'm not certain I'll be playing green. At this point, I still feel like Radiant Flames is the best thing I could put in my deck out of these things. There's also Complete Disregard here, but Drawn as Emissary is just so good that we have to take it. And it fits into our deck really well. So, okay, there's a Ruin Processor. And I think I'm going to take that and play it instead of this Devastator. It's also a Demon's Grasp, but I have more efficient removal all over the place. And the other big finisher that can, gain me life is attractive, I think. Adverse Conditions is okay. I think I'll probably just take Shadow Glider or Oracle of Dust here. Yeah, I still haven't decided what I'm going to splash yet. If we were green, we could take something like Lifespring Druid and all the other ramp cards around and fixing cards and be pretty happy, but I think we just take Shadow Glider here, or Oracle of Dust. Its effect, 5 mana, 3/5 is good. We don't have a lot of colorless synergies. We do have some processor synergies, but I think I'd rather just have a Shadow Glider. So I think Radiant Flames is still probably where I go. It's another card. The other thing that's appealing about splashing it is you don't have to have the mana for it on turn 3, like you do for Catacomb Sifter to be really good. Calastria Nightwatch is getting better by the minute as we pick up more life gain cards. There's also a Courier Griffin. I think it's fine. McKinney Patrol is kind of mediocre, I think. Ondu Rising can be very good. And it's worth thinking about here, but I think it's either Calastria Nightwatch or Courier Griffin, and I think I go with the Griffin. It always has evasion, and it's a little lower on our curve. Okay, we will happily take another Complete Disregard. I don't think I want 2 Ruin Processors in this deck the way it's turned out, but I will take a second Complete Disregard. Got the 1 Evolving Wilds, so we probably are going to splash for Radiant Flames. I think it's the best thing for us to splash for out of the good cards that we have that we could splash for. Especially because what we want to be doing is getting to the top of our curve and winning that way. so we can use it to wipe the board early and play around it when we. I mean, it's not really playing around it. Play when we know we're going to play it eventually. Um, seems pretty good. I mean, I could just remove Radiant Flames, and that might be something I decide to do in deck building, just because it would make our deck more streamlined. Like trying to fit enough mountains in here and still keep spawning bed in our deck may be a little bit tricky. So we'll see, though. We definitely have some cutting to do with this deck. McKinney Patrol probably won't make the deck, for example. So Nirkana Assassin probably won't either, even though we have Drana's Emissary now. So I'll probably just take both of those out. Resolute Blade Master's still around. There's also an Inspired Charge. Well, we don't have nearly as many things that make Eldrazi tokens as I would have liked, so I don't think it's amazing. I think I'll just get a second Geyser Field Stalker. Probably isn't going to make our deck, but, you know, it's not too bad. I guess I could have taken the Blade Master. Would have brought me more towards splashing red. All right. A late Silent Skimmer or a Mortuary Mire is where we am, and I think I'd rather have a Skimmer. It's another good 4-drop blocker who can drain my opponent every time it swings. It was pretty big for me in the red-black deck I had a minute ago. And we'll take a Night Watch here, I think. I think it's good enough, and we have a few life things that can help it gain life. So in our Drana's Emissary and Retreat to Hagra. So if we get those things online, then it's even better. But a 5-mana 4/5, which is what our Blightherder is fine. Probably lose Geyserfield Stalker now. I have better 5-drops. There's another Incubator Drone. Blue didn't seem super open, but there were Incubator Drones to be had. I'll take an Angelic Gift. I kind of doubt it makes our deck, but we'll stick it there anyway. We'll take an Altar's Reap. And we'll take a Blighted Step. It may make our deck, actually. So, same with Oracle. No, it won't. We're not blue anymore. What am I talking about? Oracle of Dust, I think, is kind of underrated. I mean, 5 mana for a 3/5 is pretty good in this format. It stands up to most other 5-drops and trades or kills a lot of them, and it has a decent ability that's gravy, but, you know, I'm not playing it here, but the fact that it was the last card in the pack over some of the other things that are in this format is kind of surprising. So we only have we have 2 processors, Ruin Processor and Kozilek's Channeler. They're both good whether or not you process, though. So we don't have to run things with Ingest just to have a way to turn them on because they're both good anyway. So I have to do some trimming here. I think we want most of our removal to stay in the deck. I think we actually need to cut a few creatures, which we're kind of low on, but I think that's what we need to do. We just have a lot of good removal that can help us get to the late game and just win with our Eldrazi or our Angel or whatever we get out there that can help us win the game. So that seems pretty good to me. So it's taking a while for the last card, but I think we probably aren't playing Angelic Gift, although sticking it on a Ruin Processor or Calastria Night Watch or Geyser Field Stalker or Blightherder, well, maybe I do want it, now that I've named all these things where it's really good on, but probably not. Probably don't want that. Okay, deck building time. We don't also want Eldrazi Devastator, I don't think. We have 2 cards that produce colorless mana. I think I'd rather have Spawning Bed than Blighted Step and make it a big card that's sided in. If I want to splash red for the Radiant Flames, I think we're going to have to run 2 mountains probably. So I need to keep that in mind. And we need to trim the deck a bit. Not a lot. This is an 18-land format usually, I think. I think maybe Dominator Drone isn't at its best in this deck. It's best in the more aggressive deck, like the black-red one that I posted last week. Don't want Angelic Gift either. So we need to cut 2 more cards, I think. We got good removal, and a few 2-drops is good, especially the Carrier Thrall, who can help us ramp if we need to. Drawn as Emissary is obviously very good. I think Retreat to Hagra gets cut here. We do have the Calastrian Nightwatch who likes the life gain, but I think it's good even without the life gain, and we have Drawn as Emissary still, so if we get both in play, we also have Angel Renewal, so we have two cards that gain life that are just better, most of the time than it is. Let's group creatures separate. Okay. Yeah, very good removal, clearly. Maybe playing Radiant Flames is unnecessary because we have 2 Gideon's Reproaches, 2 Complete Disregard, Stasis Snare, Sheer Drop. We have all these good removal spells. So Radiant Flames may actually be unnecessary, as good as I think it could be. I think it's going to distract from my deck a little bit too much if I try to run 2 mountains in this. That also lets me run Blighted Step, which gives me another life gain trigger and a way to make the game last longer if I need to. So yeah, I think that's our deck. I don't think we want to be splashing red as nice as Radiant Flames could have been in this deck. We may side it in against some opponents, but it also killed some of our lower drop creatures. I'm trying to figure out if it's worth it still. Arguing with myself, kind of. I mean, it's definitely better to splash than either Royal Spout or Catacomb Sifter is. But we just have so much removal that I think having Radiant Flames is just unnecessary, as good as it can be. I may side it in, as I said, against some opponents, but I don't think I'm going to mainboard it. Okay, so this way we can also run more non-basics, which is nice, I think. I think that's about right, 8-7. And then we have the Evolving Wilds to get us the double colors when we need it. All right, so I think that's our deck. Not playing Radiant Flames was hard to do there just because it's such a good card. But if our deck was short on removal, I would have done it, but we just have a lot of ways to control the game early. And it's worth considering. And it may be wrong of me to not play it. If I'd gotten another Evolving Wilds, I probably would have, but I didn't. I should have maybe prioritized them, but who knows? It's early on in this format. It's harder to feel things out. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you for the next 3 rounds, and don't